Okay, so let's take a look again at Hamlet Act 2, Scenes 1 and 2 Analysis Guide. So again, you can stop this YouTube video at any point if you need to still copy down these notes, or you can just listen and then at the end copy down the notes that you have. So I'm going to skip the vocabulary and the reading focus, and let's get started with the questions on page 1. So question 1 talks about discuss Hamlet's position at court now that he knows that his father has been murdered by the reigning king. Well, Hamlet must now seek revenge for his father by killing his stepfather, and who is also his uncle, Claudius. And this just makes it really awkward for Hamlet. So he is at a crossroads about what to do, and that kind of leads into question 2. What is Hamlet's dilemma? He doesn't know how to do this, and he also doesn't know if the ghost is telling the whole truth. So Hamlet has this big responsibility, and he's kind of freaking out about it. He doesn't know how to address it. So moving on to theme, appearance, and reality. Question 1 talks about what do Polonius's instructions to Reynaldo to spy on Laertes, and thus by indirections find directions out, show about his regard for his son? Well, obviously, if your parent said to your best friend to spy on you, shows that your parent doesn't trust you. And Polonius doesn't trust his son, and he thinks Laertes is visiting prostitutes, drinking, going to parties, getting into fistfights, and not really studying music as he told Polonius he was doing. So, question 2 asks, what does Reynaldo, the sly courtier, resort to when he objects to Polonius's plan, saying that it might dishonor Laertes? Well, Reynaldo just wants to find out why does he need a spy on Laertes, and how does he go about doing it? And Polonius's response is that you need to do it indirectly. So for example, if Reynaldo talks to anyone and just hints, oh, did you know Laertes does this, this, and this? Reynaldo just has to look at their reaction to see if it's true. So if that person continues to say, yeah, I've noticed that, or if they have a puzzled look on their face, then that's how Reynaldo will know if it's true or not. But Polonius also says that he has to see it for his own eyes and not just go by what people are gossiping about Laertes. The next section is the theme on madness. And question 1 talks about how do Ophelia and Polonius ironically both misinterpret Hamlet's behavior? Well, Ophelia and Polonius think that Hamlet has gone crazy because he is lovesick for Ophelia since Ophelia stopped talking to Hamlet, which has caused his irrational behavior, his disheveled clothes, and his just overall crazy look. Question 2, discuss Hamlet's feelings toward Ophelia. Well, it's not very clear how Hamlet feels towards Ophelia because his actions may be an act. But in their interactions, it appears as though Hamlet is in love with Ophelia because he can't stop looking at her. But there's also this distance from her because he doesn't really say any words to her. The next section talks about theme, appearance, and reality. Question 1 asks, how, as Polonius instructed Reynaldo to spy on Laertes in the preceding scene, Claudius charges the fawning courtiers Rosencrantz and Guildenstern to do what? So again, fawning means brown-nosing, or they just want to be like a teacher's pet. They'll do anything for Claudius to make him happier and get something in return, they hope. So Claudius asked Rosencrantz and Guildenstern to spy on Hamlet by spending time with Hamlet and try to find out what's bothering Hamlet so Claudius and Gertrude can try to fix Hamlet. And those are Claudius's words. He wants to fix Hamlet. Which leads into question 2. How does Claudius carefully mask his intentions? So Claudius says he wants to fix Hamlet instead of revealing any darker intentions of hurting Hamlet. The next characterization is on Gertrude. How much does Gertrude know about Claudius's role in King Hamlet's death? Well, it doesn't appear obvious that Gertrude knows much about Claudius's role in King Hamlet's death, but going to question 3, it asks, what is the tone of her response to Claudius in her lines? Gertrude's lines 59 to 60, she is very blunt and direct. She tells Claudius that it's obvious why Hamlet went mad. His father died, and they got married shortly after. So while Gertrude doesn't know much about Claudius's role right now, she knows that she probably had to do something with him going mad by marrying Claudius so shortly after his dad died. The next part we have is characterization on Fortinbras. And why do you think this scene was inserted? Well, first of all, I'll tell you about what this scene was. In this scene, Voltimand is returning to Denmark with news from the King of Norway that the King of Norway has given Fortinbras, or his nephew, permission to lead his soldiers into Poland and pass through Denmark, where Hamlet and all of this is going on their way to Poland peacefully. So basically, we know that Fortinbras is passing through Denmark, and that his uncle was able to forgive Fortinbras for acting brashly by saying he wanted to take over Denmark, and instead Fortinbras quickly said, "Oh, I'll just pass through Denmark peacefully." The uncle was very maybe naive or gullible to say, "Oh, I forgive you now. I'll give you permission." So think about it on your own. Why do you think it was inserted? There's no right or wrong, but what purpose do you think it serves? Question 2. What does his acceptance of his uncle father's instructions reveal about his character? So Fortinbras is a direct and cunning character. He was able to convince his uncle to allow him to pass through Denmark, even though he was in trouble in the first place for planning to wage war against Denmark. So it's like if you told your mom that you wanted to hit someone, and then she got mad at you, but then you said, "Oh no, I won't hit them. I'll be careful and I'll be nice to them. She'll forgive you and even give you an allowance for saying that." Number 3, what his quick agreement shows that his thirst for action is stronger than his desire for what? It can be also in your own opinion, but it might be along the lines of he just wants action. He doesn't thirst or desire for deliberation or planning, like we see in Hamlet. Okay, and number 4 talks about Fortinbras' action is intended as a contrast to Hamlet's what? Well, exactly what I was saying earlier. Fortinbras, he's direct, he's to the point, he gets on it. Hamlet takes a while, he thinks about it, he goes back and forth about what to do, he can't decide. So they're very different characters in how they go about seeking revenge. The next one is characterization on Polonius. Question 1 talks about verbal play in his speeches, and there's definitely more than I listed here, so try to find them. But I saw some parallelism where he uses similar sentence structure in day is day, night is night, and time is time, and metaphor by saying the brevity or briefness is the soul of wit, and being careful are the limbs or its body. He also uses a play on words by using effect, defect, remains, remainder in the same sentence. And Hamlet, on the other hand, uses his play on words to allude to a more significant meaning, to suggest what he's feeling inside and what he is truly thinking. However, Polonius uses these words to sound clever, but in reality, he's not as smart as he thinks he is. Okay, the next section talks about theme, appearance, and reality. Well, it asks first, what's a leitmotif? And that is an associated melodic phrase or a figure that accompanies the reappearance of an idea. So think about it as the refrain to a song. Or like when you watch a movie, it's the soundtrack that always plays when a certain character comes on screen. And then it goes on to list different parallels in number 2. And here are just some things that I found. In Pretense, I saw that Polonius is so sure that Hamlet has gone mad due to lovesickness that he's offered to have his head cut off or sent to work on a farm if he's wrong. So he's really full of himself. The next parallel was hypocrisy, and Claudius's concern for Hamlet, or Polonius stating that he's never been wrong, Well, we've all been wrong at some point. And also Claudius, he's not really concerned for Hamlet. He just wants to make sure that he's going to be fine. Claudius is going to be fine. The next one is eavesdropping, when Polonius suggests that Claudius and Polonius eavesdrop on Hamlet's conversation with Ophelia. And then next is punning. Well, that's just when you see the verbal play, Polonius' speech and Hamlet's speech. And acting. Hamlet acts mad with Polonius, and Polonius acts like he's not spying on Hamlet. So there's a lot of uh, acting and hypocrisy going on in this section, in this scene. Next, let's talk about Hamlet, the characterization of Hamlet. Question 1 asks you, what does it reveal? What do Hamlet's words reveal that about his state of mind? Well, he's definitely been more depressed and apathetic toward life, where he says, like, he's lost all my mirth or happiness, and the earth seems to me a sterile promontory. So the earth seems empty and void. Number 2, the gesture was allowed to expose his negative feelings toward the child actors. So this is the part in his speech where he goes kind of off topic and he starts talking about, oh, did you know that there are child actors taking the role of adult actors? And this was a trend in theater at the time when Hamlet was written. And it gives Shakespeare also an opportunity to explain his reasons for why allowing child actors is a bad idea. The next section is allusions, and these are straightforward. All you have to do is look it up. I just wanted to point out that these characters, Aeneas, Dido, and Priam, are part of the Aeneid. Next, let's talk about the soliloquy. So this is one of Hamlet's, I think, 4 major soliloquies, so it's really important that you reread these lines, starting with, "Oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I." And here it says, Hamlet says that it's terrible that actors can force his soul to his own conceit and have tears in his eyes and feel something make-believe. He's sad. Feel something make-believe. So these actors feel sad for no reason. While Hamlet has shown such little emotion and courage for something extremely real and something that even a ghost has come in and told him, you need to do something about this. So let's move on to the next section, is doubt. And for what does Hamlet reproach himself in this speech? Again, like what I was saying earlier, Hamlet reproaches himself for not acting sooner and for taking too long to revenge his father's death, even after a ghost has told him to do so. Question 2 asks, why is it reasonable for Hamlet to suspect that the ghost may be the devil? Well, Hamlet says that the devil has the power to take on a pleasing shape, so it may be a disguise so that the devil can take advantage of Hamlet's weaknesses and sadness to cause him to sin greatly by killing another person. And that's it, the overall questions. You can answer on your own. And again, you can see me or Miss Van Winkle for tutoring if you have any additional questions before school or after school.